play out of EANIX was just better.
Oh, that was just an outplay entirely by EANIX. It happens sometimes. I understand wanting to aggress, and typically for a T1 tower siege, you're not going to meet a whole lot of opposition stealing that 500 gold away, but EANIX were not about it today, and so with that being said, it's going to be Scotty, Artio, and Geb as the immediate first bans. CAZ really feeling that Geb, a Wheelers combo was too much.
I agree. Ozric and Dinosaur looked great in that last game. CAZ Esports don't want to have to deal with those Geb shields, those cataclysms anymore. Let's get those out of there. But that does leave up some high-value picks that we saw get banned away in Game 1.
For me, it was 50-meter fly going ham on that Scylla, but I guess that wouldn't have been possible for him to get online had it not been from that team synergy off of the Geb and the Wheelers. That was some great setup and follow-up. Every single time, it was like clockwork, no hesitation whatsoever. They threw their combos out there, but now EANIX, kind of with the same mentality, still looking for a little bit more team play, and you could tell because of that Terra.
EANIX do pick up Terra, but I'm looking at CAZ Esports getting both the Ganesh and the Nemesis. So Ganesh, you sort of lock down an area, and Nemesis, who picks a target, shreds all those protections, makes Sun Wukong and Terra look a little less scary.
I gotta say, though, if there's one thing I wouldn't want to deal with on Nemesis, it's the Terra's blessing. Having that additional mobility and the movement speed can really be beneficial whenever you're getting Nem-ulted.
50-meter fly getting Raijin, so he was able to do great with a big damage god last game with Scylla, so Raijin I think he'll be able to do just fine with as well, so that's who he's picking up. But Nox coming out for CAZ, that's a lot of control.
That is exactly what CAZ are looking for, and spacing is going to be the most important part here for them. I mean, Ganesh already massive for space control with those Dharmic Pillars. You throw in the Nemesis ult on top of that, and the Nox just for good measure. Not only are you going to have those silences coming through, but the slows are going to be really unavoidable.
Yeah, Nox provides so much damage when she's able to actually get her combo off. So it's kind of burst damage, it's AoE denials. There's two silences on the team actually with Ganesh and Nox. So it's going to be hard to get off. Maybe like Raijin, when he's going through his first ability, you can interrupt that in the middle of it and cause some problems.
And again, another tanky frontliner for CAZ, that Amir. They seem to really like having at least 2 or 3 members that can really just absorb large amounts of damage. And Amir, although he's a little bit stationary, same could be said though for that Raijin. Seems as though CAZ really want to put more emphasis on the 50-meter fly this game.
Is Erlong Shen not going to be picked or banned here?
I believe so.
Wow. Amuzin Cobb is the last pick for CAZ Esports, so they go to their hunter role, get someone who can hard carry. Amuzin Cobb's going to bring plenty of damage out for him, while Serket and Rom were the picks up for EANIX. So you sort of mentioned it. It looks like EANIX isn't as concerned with that tankiness as they go with another damage dealer in the jungle.
They're kind of just going to be relying off of the Serket, I feel, to try and get their setup going early on. But Serket, although she's excellent when it comes to trying to target burst somebody because of that Cobra's Kiss, at the same time, you have to be concerned because Nox in particular is just excellent against Serket.
But if you think about it, it's not too big of a difference gameplay or strategy-wise from what they did last time. Ozric blinks in and locks down a character for 50-meter fly to unload his burst onto. Even Dinosaur can sort of go in and do similar setup. So as long as 50-meter fly is on point with his damage, they can try and execute kind of the same strategy.
I'd imagine that 50-meter fly and Ozric are probably going to have out-clear potential when it comes to the mid lane, but Amir is definitely nothing to try and avoid. It's actually going to be, Mr. Turtle and Malois one more time starting up on their own buffs as opposed to looking for the laning first.
That does look to be the call from them. They decide to just go straight to the buffs. Looks like both lanes are. Predator's going to be starting sort of in that mid lane, or in the middle between his jungle and his lane, but they do kind of rotate back over. Now they do meet the lane. And we're seeing more of what we've been seeing lately here in the mid lane. We're seeing Atonement, the AD carry in the mid lane to try and give them pressure or to give them the stronger clear up against Ozric and 50-meter fly.
This is 100% pressure-oriented. Alexum and Atonement already clearing out the entire way, but with the Archer still remaining for EANIX to deal with, it's actually going to be the invade coming through from CAZ Esports onto the blue buff. This was happening all last game. Predators doesn't have the hog this time around, so he won't be able to steal that one away.
They do steal away that blue buff, so now Predator's going to have to deal without it. And look at that, they're not even trying to respond to it. Ozric goes over to the left side, and they just secure their own buffs down there along with 50-meter fly, so they recognize that they weren't going to have that pressure, and they kind of just give it up.
And Switch actually able to take the minis, I believe, off of that purple buff. Wasn't able to finish the buff entirely, but he's already sitting at level 2 because he was able to get some of that XP from the red prior to leaving into the lane. And now a pretty even spread so far as CAZ is concerned.
That's right. EANIX do now get to have some pressure in the duo lane side since it is just Switch over there with that Ganesh. So that's where they're going to try and even it out, go over there and steal away that purple buff away from him, try and deny them some farm. So what CAZ have decided is that they want to have their pressure on the solo lane side, and they're okay with giving up some here on the left. We said it before, kind of earlier on in the game, with those fire elementals, that right side jungle is a little more valuable over here than the left.
And Atonement one more time, he's going to be toting that speed buff, except now he's on the B, and with the hives already providing him a little bit of movement speed, that's going to make him pretty swift for this early on in the game. And again, you kind of just expect him to be more of a roamer early on.
Lots of pressure on this right-hand side. Malloy's in a lot of trouble having to back out. Even the sprint was popped. So both relics used by both solo and junglers in that to try and clean up that kill to Malloy's, but he's okay piloting that Nemesis. He's not too worried.
It's going to be actually Predators getting frozen out and hit by Mr. Turtle. Still taking a decent bit of poke, but not really too concerned. Malloy's and Mr. Turtle, though, hitting level 5 first because of the successful buff invade they were able to acquire earlier.
So what is it that Mr. Turtle is looking for from Amir here in the solo lane, and from over here in the solo lane, as they come down here and take these buffs on the left-hand side? But Turtle actually cleans up a kill, too.
And that's going to be the first blood as well. Actually, it was almost Osric falling too, and 50-meter fly, he started making the rotation to try and help out his team, recognizing the pressure that was about to come through from Alexum, but Alexum really just shooting that long-range Nox ultimate, you could tell, because of the ticks that were going on Osric and that aura surrounding him. And
that's why we saw that Alexum wasn't quite able to get credit for like a kill or assist, because Osric does manage to just barely get out of there. So I don't think he helped out with that kill that they end up finally getting onto Sun Wukong, but he is there to try and at least force back Osric. So now they can get a little bit more pressure over here in this right-hand side. And I was asking, what do you want Amir for in the solo lane? Well, I guess it's that. It's that pressure that he brings.
Well, Predators has got to be really careful here now. He just hit level 5 on that wave. Kind of surprised that Mr. Turtle and Malloy's didn't try to mess with him a little bit more. Probably just concerned that somebody else from EANIX might be venturing into the jungle as well. Don't really want to get caught outside of your own friendly territory.
Blue buff picked up here for Predator, so finally able to get one. He's happy to have that blue buff around his waist and Osric defend the speed buff. So despite the kill, CAZ Esports don't continue to pressure onto those buffs. This rotation here coming through 4 minutes, they let EANIX just go ahead and pick up their own.
Malloy's just a little bit too low on mana to stick around and help Mr. Turtle with another blue buff invade, but Predators, he's got no complaints about that one. Actually going to make things a little bit easier for him in solo now, because even though he did take an early spill, he's only sitting 300 gold behind Mr. Turtle, and he's actually going to be able to catch up pretty quickly because of the fact that he's soloing that farm in the solo lane.
And this does make things a little bit harder on Predators when he's trying to build against CAZ Esports. He's got to worry about the magical damage coming out from Mr. Turtle, but the physical damage that comes out from Malloy's. Sometimes when we see this split, we see him go with like Hide to the Urchin.
Normally I would say that, but on Kile exists.
That's true.
And I would not be surprised to see that item getting picked up by Predators here. I
think it's a bit underrated. Its passive is really strong. The science that it's able to put out, it does give you some damage as well too. So it's a good hybrid item if we're trying to build over there in the solo lane when you got to worry about some magical damage.
It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen here for CAZ, but seems as though Mr. Turtle wasn't able to catch Predators with that wall. Otherwise, I think we would have seen some more aggression. At least Malloy's maybe looking to force out that ultimate from Sun Wukong.
And he's lurking around waiting on Predators to come up a little bit too far, but I think Predators he knows exactly what's going on here. He's not walking up into any danger, and Malloy's just going to have to back off and try and look for some farm elsewhere on the map, as we did just recently see Osric go back to base. So now at this point, CAZ Esports enjoying about a 1,000, 1,200 or so gold lead. That first blood bounty helping out a good bit with that. Even some experience lead in their favor too. So they do have a bit of a lead. This is actually better than where we saw them last game, as just about how much lead they have.
And it's going to be Atonement actually looking for the aggression onto Vaporish Coach. Just off the mark with that Stinger, though. Still not looking to let down anytime soon. Vaporish, he has his ultimate available, but is this the boxing match that he wants to take?
If I'm Vaporish Coast, it's not. I almost never want to box an AMC. He's a lot better than I am, though, so maybe he's comfortable with it. But this is what AMC does best, is those one-on-one fights there, especially if he's able to get that cripple off. Rom can't roll away anymore, and then he can really get the lockdown.
Kind of surprised we haven't seen Terra's Blessing yet come through from Dinosaur. Maybe a little bit concerned that if he were to bait Vaporish into the fight and then and then Atonement found the kill, that would be a very awkward situation.
What I like that CAZ Esports have done, though, all the control that they have on their team, look how it's dictated the relic purchases for EANIX. Almost everyone has bought beads on their side. Only Predators choosing to go at the sprint. It's even a little bit rare to see it on Dinosaur.
I'm not too surprised, just because a Terra could very easily be focused out by the Amir freezes or just caught out and burst down. It's just too easy to get that combination off between Alexum and Switch. So this time I like the mentality for EANIX to go for a little bit more defense-oriented, kind of work for the late game.
I think it's the right call. CAZ Esports' control-heavy lineup kind of dictates that you can't afford to get locked down. I mean, the control from Alexum, Switch, and Mr. Turtle just way too strong. Even Atonement, if he can get that cripple off on, he can kind of have some lockdown of his own. So I'm not too surprised that this is the call that they have decided to make to sort of help them get through this early game where CAZ Esports are going to have a whole lot of pressure. Do you think EANIX wins late game just with their comp, or are they even?
It's going to really just one more time depend upon the team fights. I think that if 50-meter Fly can find similar ults or similar damage to what he was finding on that Scylla, then yes, EANIX will more than likely run this one back. But Atonement could also come up huge here. Being on this Amus and Cap has a lot more hyper carry potential than what he did before on that Medusa.
That's right. Last game when he rotated the team fights, it was very reliant on him getting off those strong petrifies, as we do see the invade coming out from EANIX onto this speed buff. Malloy's, though, he's here to contest it. He is able to defend his buff. And there's the Terra's Blessing that you were asking for, as Malloy's drops the ultimate on top of Osric, who I believe also uses beats.
And Osric, he's got no cooldowns available right now, but there's his jump, able to get him back into safety. The Deathbane, I believe, was also coming back up off of cooldown, but either way, that's pretty intense for a Circuit to have a hard time outrunning a Nemesis.
Predator's able to get out of there no problem, but Osric takes a good bit of return poke there for his troubles, trying to help defend his solo laner. EANIX trying to get a little bit aggressive on this solo lane side, going in for the invade on the speed, but Malloy's there to defend it. He probably couldn't be happier. Got that speed buff around his waist now. And I'm a little surprised we're seeing that from EANIX. EANIX are looking to press the issue a little bit more early, it seems. As the freeze comes out on the Predators, he has to go into that somersault cloud just off the freeze.
Seemed pretty expected and predicted by Predators, though. Just no hesitation whatsoever, immediately opting to go up into the somersault cloud. And that's kind of just what you need to recognize as a solo laner. Whenever an Amir is just walking in a straight line at you, he's probably got a couple friends hanging around the corner.
He's going to have to continue to be perfect with that timing on his ultimate all game, though. Again, he's the only one that doesn't have any kind of form of bead, so that CC immunity it grants him while he's getting ready to hop up onto the cloud is going to be important for him, despite being a tankier Wukong.
And the same could be said for Osric. He didn't really want to hang around. If Predators had been caught out there, there wasn't really anything he could do to try and prevent Malloy's or Mr. Turtle from cleaning him up.
And we were talking a little bit about how Atonement over here in this duo lane up against Vaporish Coast could be a really big win condition for CAZ Esports if you want to consider it that. If he's able to get far enough ahead, make it to that hyper carry mode, we see he's already got those devil gloves, he's working on them. Not like he's far ahead of Vaporish Coast or anything, but if he can get to that mode, that might be something EANIX can't handle.
It could be the case, but now it's actually going to be Mr. Turtle underneath a lot of pressure from Osric, and Predator's actually catching both of them with the freeze, but the Taiko drums are coming through. 50-meter Fly one more time, taking out Mr. Turtle.
Able to out-rotate Alexum pretty heavily there, able to be a part of that fight way before Alexum is, who was actually never really a part of it, and just a little bit too aggressive, and Mr. Turtle, they're caught in the mid lane. Now Predators having to use... Well, he's able to get away, but the tick damage from Nox is going. I don't think it'll be enough, though, as he does get that passive when he's got lower health.
And also the T2 save of his magical protections. That's actually coming up clutch, whether he wants it to be a Genji, Shogun's, or the Oni Hunter's garb. It's hard to say, but having that online really did help him from dying to Alexim's ultimate there.
And that's what Alexim was looking for, that long-range snipe to try and clear him up. Wasn't quite able to get it, though, so that's now a fight that's gone in favor of EANIX. And I feel like that's what we've seen these last few minutes. CAZ Esports have kind of sat back a little bit, and they're not really making any calls, and now it's EANIX the one who are making the gank onto the solo lane or going for the invade on the speed buff.
That was a great ultimate, though, by 50-meter fly, just taking full advantage of how mobile an Amir can be, not missing a single tick of those taiko drums.
Just getting punished out, and he was necessary there too, because Mr. Turtle hit a two-man freeze on, I think it was Osric and Predators there that were the ones that had him under pressure. So if he wasn't there to hit all those damage ticks perfectly, Mr. Turtle might have escaped or given Alexim enough time to rotate in and be a part of that engagement. So the excellent play once again, 50-meter fly, who's looked on fire all set long, helps clean up that kill.
And again, that's kind of just the gameplay that you want to see out of your mid laner, taking advantage of a free rotation. Alexim just getting there a little bit too late to the party, so wasn't able to get anything out of it. But CAZ, they're all getting pretty boosted up right now, and they're hovering around that Gold Fury. They have a great team for shredding objectives, and sure enough, they're not hesitating any longer. They're pulling it straight away.
We saw those pings come out on the map, so I think that was the call from them to come make this happen. Terra's Blessing comes out already from EANIX as they look to try and dissuade them, and it's enough to get them to drop it just for the moment, but they still have it pulled. Muzen Cobb does a lot of damage to these objectives, and 50-meter fly is here to try and contest it. I'm not sure if his ult has enough time to come back up yet after that engagement on right, but it could be a big problem. And there it is, up into the air. It's Switch who's the one that has taken a lot of damage, and following up against one more time as Vapor's Coast up into the air. Misses the last shot, though, so Switch still alive.
So unfortunate, but so much pressure onto Vaporus, trying to chunk through Switch's shell and his remaining health. And with that, Switch is going to be able to back to base, but Mr. Turtle, actually all eyes set onto Predators, trying to get away from that damage. Atonement helping chunk away at that health.
So all in all, EANIX can count that one, I think, as a win, because CAZ Esports were unable to finish the Gold Fury. They do get them to back off of it at least and sort of go back to parity and give them a chance to come back and sort of even out. It's only about 2K gold or so that CAZ are up, and this gives EANIX a chance to come back and try and even that out instead of CAZ jumping further ahead.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not CAZ try to again pull this Gold Fury, and sure enough, Atonement's already made his way back over. There isn't any vision established right now for EANIX, kind of just expecting that they let this one go. Mr. Turtle now dropping his ultimate for good measure, and CAZ, sure enough, take the first Gold Fury of the game.
Good job catching EANIX sleeping, did CAZ Esports. They were sitting right on top of their own sentry ward, so they knew that there couldn't be any vision there, and they were able to clean that Gold Fury up, no problem with the burst damage from Mr. Turtle, as well as from Atonement. Now extending that gold lead out to about 2,700 or so in their favor, and now that's going to give them the chance to start moving that small lead into a big lead for them and open this game up, as we've seen them play a little bit slow so far.
Having a little bit more mid to late game oriented drafting, I think, is making a huge difference here for CAZ, because they have the early game pressure between the Amir and the Nemesis, as well as the AMC, who's also excellent at clearing early. Atonement trying to use that ability from the Hives to his advantage, boxing Vaporus in the creep wave, and Vaporus, he'll be able to heal up, but starting to get a little troublesome for him.
Vapor's Coast getting to the point now where it'll be pretty difficult for him to fight back into that Muzen Cobb, especially when he plays that aggressive, even into a minion wave like that. So Vapor's Coast keeping a level head, backing up, clearing the wave, and able to continue to box out. But if a Muzen Cobb continues to threaten objectives like the Gold Fury, like we just saw, actually the blink in, though, from Osric, but the Ohm coming out from Switch is too strong. Osric going to have to back up, not able to get anything out of that blink.
As if it wasn't bad enough dealing with the silence from the Nox, he's also got to worry about that Ganesh, and sure enough, Osric pretty much foiled for that. He was able to pull the Purification Beads, though, from Alexim, so that will make Alexim a primary target, I'd imagine, for EANIX if they ever try to catch him out. Portal Demon actually going to be the next target for EANIX, and it's not getting chunked down anytime soon.
They don't have Vapor's Coast here with them, their best damage, but there it was. Azure went back and cleaned up that kill onto Alexum, recognizing those beads weren't available for him to get away, so that's 2 kills to 1 now in favor of EANIX. They start up that Portal Demon, pulled some attention from CAZ, but it's Alexum who falls.
50-meter fly, kind of just using those Psycho Drums to make sure that Alexum was going to die. He would have had the range, even with the dash, I believe, to catch Alexum, but fortunately enough, the Circuit was enough to take him out. Right now, with the 4v5 advantage, Predators actually falling under a little bit of pressure here. Same for Osric. Can't really fight back into Mr. Turtle or Malloy's just yet.
And Vapor's Coast never rotated to that fight. We actually saw Atonement rotate over as the freeze comes out on the Predators, and that wall was perfect to separate him away from the rest of his team. Has to go up into the somersault cloud, and now it's Osric who's in a lot of trouble. The landing back down was huge on the Malloys, who's very, very low. The shield was enough to keep him alive just for the moment. Another 2-man freeze coming out from Mr. Turtle. Another wall to separate the team out. 50-meter flies too low. Mr. Turtle cleans up that kill, no problem.
And that was a great Terra root there from Dinosaur, really preventing Switch and Mr. Turtle from following up, but it's not over just yet. Dinosaur eating that Nox ultimate to the fullest, but as long as Predators is able to avoid it, but he can't avoid the blink. Another freeze, another kill from Mr. Turtle.
Mr. Turtle blinks past Dinosaur to get the backing Predators. He nails it with the freeze. Follow-up immediately cleans up that kill. He's 3-1-0. He's got all the kills for CAZ Esports, and we see why Mr. Turtle was happy to play the Amir.
Dinosaur just barely escaping from that one as well. Actually having a lot of troubles, and the same could be said for Vaporish. Underneath his own tower, can't really seem to find the upper hand on this boxing match. It's going to be Osric, though, trying to go in on the mid lane. Alexum and Malloy is going pretty deep there. And same for Vaporish, actually able to back away, having to retreat all the way to his T2 tower just to be safe.
And now we're starting to see where CAZ Esports' superior team fighting is kind of coming through, at least comp-wise. The control that they have is just too much for EANIX to deal with. Even just now, we saw Dinosaur underneath that silence from Nox, having to beads to try and get away, try and stay alive in that engagement. So those will be down for another 130 seconds. Didn't have the shell available, but it'll be back up soon. What does EANIX have to do to fight through all this control?
For EANIX, it's all about being a pick comp right now. They have to really bank off of Osric landing an isolated ultimate onto someone so that they can immediately pick them off before the team fight breaks out.
And that's perhaps what we're recognizing from CAZ Esports is they're doing a better job grouping up. Atonement kind of the only one who's happy to move over here and try and get that 1v1 up against Vapor's Coast, been playing very safe. I don't know if we were able to see it, but Atonement was able to take that tier 1 tower on the duo lane side. So that's a little bit less safety over there if Vapor's Coast comes up forward. But at least now he can sort of hang back towards that tier 2 and farm a little safer.
For Vaporish, though, this is a matchup that he has to rely around his team entirely for. AMC will pretty much almost always have the upper hand in these 1v1 boxing matches, especially against a hunter like Rom, who only has a dash, doesn't have a hard jump to get over the walls, makes him really vulnerable to all of that damage in the honey, plus the disarms from the bees. It's a lot to deal with.
His kit feels like it was made for boxing. And CAZ Esports recognize that Gold Fury's back up, and they're on top of it right away. There is a response here from EANIX. They do have Dinosaur here as well as Azric to try and contest it, but it looks like that's what CAZ Esports want, to try and bait him into a fight here. As Mr. Turtle's rotating in on the back end of this fight, this could be bad news.
No one from EANIX has any idea. Osric and Dinosaur, though, about to find out. 50-meter fly, actually the first person to point out Mr. Turtle's presence. Walled off from his team, though, and walled off from the Gold Fury pit. Dinosaur popping that Terra's Blessing, really trying to get into the middle of the action as Osric wraps around the backside as well.
Osric goes to the backside, but immediately gets locked down and takes about 90, made that 100% of his HP. Atonement gets credit for that kill. Predators getting chased down by Malloy's, goes to the Tiger Stub, but now he won't have an escape. He does still have the ultimate available, and 50-meter fly is sending those drums over the wall, but now Dinosaur's the one getting locked down. It's just too much CC for CAZ Esports, and EANIX having a hard time fighting into it.
It doesn't matter, though. Mr. Turtle with a beautiful wall. Tried to go up into the air, but Vaporish isn't going to be able to find anything. Instead, he's going to land back down in the middle of everyone. Still, just barely able to escape. Dinosaur trading out his life instead. 50-meter fly, though, same cannot be said for you, my friend. Trying to get that teleport off at the wall again.
Mr. Turtle playing this Amir at a really high level right now. It ends up being 3 kills that CAZ Esports clean up. They also take the gold free as Vapors Coast was unable to stop them from taking that one too. Now they're sitting up 6-2 in the kills, about 7K gold in the lead. And if you thought that control was rough to deal with when they were even, now they're behind.
And Predators can't avoid that freeze from Mr. Turtle, actually knocking him up, and Osric's going to be able to find Malois in a separate spot. Seems the Malois was actually hanging around the jungle. That's a huge cleanup kill for Osric.
And that right there was an example of each team's playstyles. We saw EANIX benefiting from a pluck there as Vapors Coast gets locked down by the silence and by Switch as well. The ultimate just a little bit off the mark. That's a hard shot to make through the jungle. Vapors Coast going to be able to heal up through that camp. Dinosaur going to have to back off. Too much pressure from CAZ.
The Predators doesn't have the same luxury provided to him, though. He's going to have to just straight up back to base. And actually, it seems as though Vapors is joining him. So with 2 members having already backed for EANIX and Atonement having secured that Portal Demon, wouldn't be too surprised to see CAZ maybe try to force the Fire Giant away from EANIX, but Atonement's got other plans. He'd rather keep reminding them that he is massive in the mid lane.
5-member grouping from CAZ Esports. They're looking to see if they can find anyone isolated. EANIX, though, are nowhere around, so they just go in and take this Tier 1 tower in mid lane, which falls to the chunks from Atonement, rather. No problem. They clean that one up, and now they're looking to try and force another fight here around this Fire Giant, and EANIX are going to have a tough time fighting back into this one, especially in this confined area. All of that control is going to come up big.
And this time, it seems as though it's a similar strat for CAZ as it was in the previous game. A lot of the members choosing to rush into that Hide of the Urchin, and it makes sense because they're ahead, and this item is great when you're ahead.
When you're ahead and you're able to get those stacks, and you don't have to worry about too much of a DPS loss because you got some level leads to help compensate for it. It makes a lot of sense. But when you're behind, it kind of just serves to put you further behind. And that's what CAZ Esports want. They want to put EANIX into the ground. Grouping up the Tier 2 tower is going to be the call. Azric is lurking around the back line, though, looking to try and come in. And I think that's why we see Switch walk off, trying to get eyes on that Circuit.
But Osric, he's not going to have a whole lot of room for opportunity here. Has to be really careful about blinking in, because if he misclicks just even a little bit, it's going to end up spelling disaster for him. There is so much CC that could potentially come out from CAZ the second that he shows his face. It's really dangerous territory right now.
Again, trying to bait in Dinosaur, but he dashes to get away. Keeping the Fire Giant low is Atonement, but Predator is in a position to try and rotate around this top inside and get some trouble to the DPS. Malois, though, is here, and so is Atonement to force him back out. Now the fight's breaking out right on top of that Portal Demon ultimate coming out on top of Atonement. He's got the Aegis ticking for him, though, to keep himself alive. The wall, once again, excellent. Vapors Coast, though, does clean up Alexum. 50-meter fly could be in trouble. 2-man stun comes out on the Vapors Coast, and Dinosaur, they have to use beads to get away, but Malois is the one who's low.
And it's Malois actually getting a lot of regen off of his third ability, that Nem Shield buying him so much time. But it seems as though EANIX could potentially have the upper hand here. They're finally going to push forward, and this is the first time we've really been able to see EANIX take a more aggressive route.
And it was a pick onto Alexum that we saw, so EANIX able to do a good job slowing down CAZ Esports' aggression onto this Fire Giant, so they have to back off fit for now. Predators just trying to get some poke, slow down the backing from CAZ Esports, and now Atonement could potentially be getting locked down here in the mid lane. Now, not able to clap in on him. The beads do come out right away, and it actually cleanses the Tiger stun from Predators as well. Switch was there, though, with the Ohm to try and keep him safe, so he's able to back off, but that is a win for EANIX.
A lot of damage coming through, and even better yet, they found Atonement's purification beads as well. Without that active, AMC, he can be pretty slippery with those hives and that extra mobility provided off of them. Still, relatively easy to shut down if he's by himself.
CAZ Esports are going to have to remember what got them this far in the game. It's Mr. Turtle in particular that's been setting up a lot of these kills with the freezes, with the walls. Making sure that they play through him is how I think they're going to be able to slow down EANIX in this next team fight and actually get something set up.
I got to give huge shout-outs to Osric for that last team fight actually in the Fire Giant pit. His patience as he waited for his team to engage. That way, CAZ would be way too distracted with what was going on directly in front of them to pay attention to him blinking over the wall wall and ulting straight on top of Alexum. That just caused so much panic in the backline that immediately everybody from CAZ started to split apart, making it a little bit easier for EANIX to finally start getting off that pit comp they've been looking for.
And we do have a bit of a pause coming out here, so no one will be able to get y'all back into the game, but you broke it down really well earlier, I feel like. EANIX, they're trying to look for those picks like we saw to EANIX, and CAZ Esports, they're looking to control those team fights. What is it that EANIX got to do to try and fight through that control to make this happen?
EANIX really, Osric just has to keep doing his thing. He's got to keep finding those blink engagements as his team is distracting everybody else, because as long as that distraction is happening, EANIX should be able to find a pick or two. They really just need to keep CAZ spread out, because if CAZ are grouped up, that team fight potential is just way too much to handle.
And he doesn't have to get the full kill, as now we see the Gold Fury being pulled by CAZ Esports. Vapors Coast does have that ult. He can go up in the air and try and help him finish off a low health target. But now the call is to try and have a fight over this Gold Fury. The blink in, but immediately gets silenced out. Osric takes a lot of return damage, but so does Atonement. That's a lot of damage lost for CAZ Esports very early in this fight. Mr. Turtle trying to find someone to get some freezing off onto. He does also get the ice carpet down, but not able to get anything onto Vapors Coast. Mr. Turtle now the one getting locked down by the Tiger Stun from Predator. Sprint comes out, but Vapors Coast up in the air. The crowd control was enough from the wall clasp, but the wall creates some separation, and 50-meter fly cleans him up.
And it's going to be Predator still messing around with Switch on the front side while Maloys is trying to escape from 3 members of EANIX on the back. Now EANIX finally with the full-on 3v5 advantage. One of the members already back to base. That was Alexum, and EANIX. Gold Fury is all theirs.
Pause comes out from Dinosaur, and everyone on EANIX, I guess, gets a can of spinach, and they're feeling like Popeye now. They come into this team fight, and they wreck house, taking out Mr. Turtle and Atonement very early in that engagement. Gold Fury goes their way. They've got eyes for the Portal Demon and the Fire Giant now, and it doesn't look like a team that's down 3K, 4K gold to me, Taco. They look like they're ready to fight right back in.
They're ready to go ham, and for sure, it's going to be possible. Vaporish cleaning up that Portal Demon just means that this is a free back for EANIX. Alexa maybe looking to try and get some favored positioning, kill somebody as soon as they step through that portal, but I don't think they're going to have too much success with this. Can't imagine that anybody from EANIX is really going to risk that, considering that they saw 2 members from CAZ already in that Fire Giant pit before they backed.
Now, Mr. Turtle on this Amir, early in the game, he was really controlling it. He had a lot of burst that he brought out. Is that falling off here as the game goes later?
I don't think it's falling off so much as it is EANIX just creating so much chaos on the map all at once, too. It's the blink engagement from Osric. It's just causing so much separation for CAZ, and they keep splitting apart. Atonement in that instance, he wasn't really split apart from his team, but he was a little bit too far forward, feeling a little bit too confident with that defense that he has mounted on the AMC. And Urchin is a great defensive item, but he doesn't have any stacks in his yet.
And look at it, CAZ Esports are the ones that are way up at the top of the player damage. They've got Atonement up at the top. They've got Maloys. All of them are the ones that are doing the damage. So when Atonement's not a part of the fight anymore, good wall though onto Predator, sets up the freeze and the ice carpet to follow up. And now it's the 2-man root coming out from Terra that's able to slow him into place. The ultimate coming through for 50-meter fly does tons of damage. And this one, there's Osric coming in the back line. Dinosaur gets the credit for Alexum, who gets locked down. Alexum going to be missing already.
These wraparounds are so disgusting by Osric, making it impossible for anybody from CAZ to really escape. Mr. Turtle probably going to be looking for another wall here shortly. 3 members actually from EANIX, relatively low, but still feeling confident enough to aggress onto the Fire Giant, knowing just how poked out everybody from CAZ is. And with that Terra sustain, this is all too easy for Vapor to just stick to.
We're seeing Osric goes up from top and cleans out Switch, not just zoning, but actually sending a member back to base. Fire Giant very low. Atonement's still here. Malloy's still here in full health, but they can't get in time thanks to Predators. Fire Giant goes down in favor of EANIX. They're going to be able to have that one on all 5 members in CAZ Esports. With Alexum back up alive, we've got to try and make a tower defense happen, as there are still actually all the tier 1s and tier 2s still left up on the map, so EANIX got a lot of work to do.
They have a lot of work to do, but that Fire Giant should probably expedite the process, so to say. And right now, it's really just EANIX completely on the swing of things. They are riding this momentum that they have just found out of nowhere, it seems.
And I think it's sort of the long-range damage that's coming out from EANIX that's a bit of a problem for CAZ Esports. In that last fight, we saw when they grouped up, 50-meter Fly was able to get his taiko drums through several members. Then the lockdown from Dinosaur and Vapor's Coast up in the air was able to hit with his ultimate as well. It was just a little bit too much damage as CAZ were trying to make the retreat, and EANIX cleaned up some kills.
Oh, yeah. For me, that was Dinosaur with some great setup supports.
Oh, yeah.
They don't always get the loving they deserve, but we all saw that route come through. I believe it was at least 3 members trapped inside of that from CAZ, and with that in tow, it's made things all too easy. 50-meter Fly is living the dream right now with this setup that Dinosaur and Ozark have been having for him all day so far.
Yeah, if you can play with Dinosaur, you're going to do a whole lot of damage. You're going to do 16K because Dinosaur in the first game as Geb, and this game too as Terra has been putting him into a great position to put out the damage. Now it looks like CAZ are making the call, though, to fight on this Tier 2 tower, and this time it's Maloys who's hanging around, trying to loop around it and come around the back end of the team fight and cause problems. They recognize he's there, though, and they force him off. Now it's 5 members versus 5 members here at this Tier 2 tower. Freeze comes out on the Predators, but he's tanky, making that front line. The damage comes out right away, though, from Alexum. The ultimate already been committed up in the air, 50-meter Fly, but the blink one more time into the back line coming out from Osric is causing too much problems for Atonement. Up in the air is Vapor's Coast, but the Vegas is good to nullify too much damage.
And it's going to be Dinosaur and Predators with the excellent zone out. And now that T2 tower getting cleaned up by EANIX. Everybody's just looking to back off safely here. Maloy's not really much else to use. Actually, about to get re-aggressed on, going a little bit too deep, giving EANIX the confidence to go back at him.
And Osric is still looping around. If Atonement comes up just a little bit too far, he'll jump in just like that and go for the Cobra's Kiss. The lockdown, though, coming out from Alexum was too much. Osric goes back to base. Now it's 5v4 in favor of CAZ Esports, and despite getting the Tier 2 tower, EANIX are the ones on the run.
Osric really wanted that one, but forgot to pay sight to Alexum on that Nox, just sitting a few steps back. As soon as Osric went in, immediately rooted down, and that's one of the anti-fun parts about trying to play Circuit into the Nox.
Going back in, though, is Predators for the stun. The 2-man clap does come out from Dinosaur to set up one more time the ultimate from 50-meter Fly. Atonement, he gets too low, he gets too dead, goes back to base. Predators ends up cleaning up a double kill. Mr. Turtle, though, does get the return damage, and now Vapor's Coast is going to have to run. He's got a Nemesis swinging in his face.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. Can't lifesteal quick enough, and now Dinosaur left all alone. 3 members surrounding him. There's no way he gets away. He's trying to buy himself time. The Ganesh silence just making it all the more difficult for him. Still, no one able to get locked down. He's bought so much time for his team already, and finally Maloys with the Nemesis dash to take him out.
That's a big deal. Osric and 50-meter Fly both had enough time to respawn. So even though at the end of that fight, CAZ Esports have 3 members alive, there's really not going to be able to go get anything on. So, I mean, I think Dinosaur kiting around for what felt like 10 minutes was a pretty big deal.
I was so concerned that Dinosaur was actually going to somehow survive there. Like maybe his ult comes back up again and he just sprints away like Sonic or something. But either way, that was a really strong hold by CAZ. It seemed as though EANIX was really about to turn that one around, but Maloys taking out Vaporus just makes sure that the Hunter won't be able to keep aggressing. Really stops that Fire Giant siege in its tracks.
And I think EANIX did win that team fight, but they just stuck around a little bit too long. And CAZ Esports now with the blink in, actually not only steals the Portal Demon, but freezes out Osric. The ult from Mr. 50-meter Fly was a little bit too late. Now Osric goes back to base, courtesy of Maloys, who picks up one more kill, bringing his total up to 3-1-4. That was a big blink play from Mr. Turtle.
And that was a huge silence as well from Alexum. Stopped Osric right in his tracks. He was trying to get into his third ability, look for the jump away escape. That silence, though, completely ruining everything about it.
And there's just 2, and that's the control we've been talking about from CAZ Esports, as Switch knocks him up into the silence one more time from Alexum. The burst damage comes out and forces Predators up into his ultimate without giving up anything on the side of CAZ Esports. Vapor's Coast also having to burn his beats in mid lane as well.
EANIX gotta refocus and regroup if they don't want to find themselves losing track of this one again. CAZ just biting back into EANIX. As soon as they started seeming like they were going to finally have the upper hand in this game, CAZ just steadily reminding them what their draft can do.
And that's what it feels like. It feels like CAZ have kind of spread them out here in these last like 2 or 3 minutes. Even if they're doing like 2v2s and 3v3s, they have so much control on so many characters that they're still going to have the upper hand. They're still going to have the lockdown. And now that we're 34 minutes in, Atonement and Alexum are swinging.
Well, this is EANIX's opportunity to show whether or not it was a fluke the first time around for cleaning out CAZ. And Atonement actually, now with that Magi's Blessing online, going to make himself a little bit more difficult of a target in case Osric had any intentions of aggressing straight onto that AMC.
And we are 34 minutes here. EANIX did clear a path to that left side Phoenix, so if they win a fight handily here, they do have a chance to go in and end the game despite several towers being up. So EANIX and CAZ both have a lot on the line. Mr. Turtle does get the freeze off though, and they're able to lock down Predators, but it's the ultimate from 50-meter fly that helps them clean up the damage. Rival Atonement does pick up Osric, and now they're going to be down their Circuit.
Osric trying to get a little bit more than he could in the backside. Vapor's going to get trapped inside of the Emir Ultimate and the Dharmic Pillars. Beautiful placement by Switch on that one. Atonement, though, still likely to go down because of Predators up in the cloud. He will find one at least, but it's still not going to be enough to stop him from being dead as well.
Predators pays for it with his life, and Dinosaur came in to try and help save his solo laner. Now he's out here in no man's land, forced to flee. 50-meter fly, though, able to jump over the wall and get out. It's 4 members of CAZ Esports versus 2 members of EANIX. And EANIX, they're looking like they're not going to have a chance to make it out. Dinosaur taking a lot down. 50-meter fly, though, actually hitting Malloy's pretty hard. And he does at least save his support's life.
50-meter fly actually wanted to go back in onto Malloy's, but what seemed like it was, again, going to be a team fight in favor of one, it just completely splits out even. And I'm sure that EANIX are probably counting their blessings on that one because CAZ probably should have gotten way more out of that.
And Predator's sort of throwing his life away to take out Atonement. That's really big. Atonement right now could easily life steal back up that life that he lost, could take down that Fire Giant if they create enough space for him. So taking away that DPS, taking away the Hunter character in particular away from CAZ Esports was worth Predator's life, at least for my money.
And where this seems to be falling apart a little bit for EANIX is it's Osric. Osric's got to be way more careful about choosing when to go in. He's been going in a little bit sooner than what he was originally when EANIX started finding themselves on the upswing of things. And now Osric's just getting targeted out, and this could also just be excellent response by CAZ, not really choosing to do anything or expend too many abilities that they'd want to try and prevent the Circuit from dropping a taunt, dropping the Cobra's Kiss. It's anything to get in the way of Osric.
It's just too much control. She can't blink in onto Alexum's silence, Switch's silence, and the freeze from Mr. Turtle. They're just able to lock him down a little bit too quickly when he tries it. Now it's Atonement, though, already has that Fire Giant down to half health. He has that Magi's Blessing going on the wall, separates Predators, and sets him up for the freeze. It's 50-meter fly, though. He's putting the damage through 3 members all at once. Mr. Turtle goes right into his ultimate, and Vaporous Coast is able to clean up Switch. Predators establishing the front line. Ozros comes in, but gets too much damage, has to back off right away. This fight looks like it could be going the way of EANIX.
And it's going to be Predators still chasing forward against Alexum and Atonement, trying to prevent these 2 carries from getting away. Vaporish and 50-meter fly dealing with Malloy's on the backside, and it's going to be Dinosaur getting the final countdown onto Alexum.
And 50-meter fly does end up cleaning up Malloy's. All 5 members of EANIX are still alive. And Taco, this is just what we were saying. 37 minutes in, it doesn't take too much when you win a team fight to start taking a whole lot else extra off the back of it. 5 members still strong here, and they're going to make the call to come down for the Fire Giant. Only Atonement and Mr. Turtle, though, to defend. But they've been the star players for CAZ so far this game.
Vaporish is going to be able to get all the sustain that he needs between this Terra heal and just not having to tank the Fire Giant for the full damaged opponent. 50-meter fly, though, looking to solo, and not looking to solo, but looking to keep out Mr. Turtle. Blink coming through just a little bit too late. Now he's caught up in between 4 members of EANIX. He's sure to fall.
The body blocking was just too good there. Mr. Turtle had no way to get out of there. Predators gets credit for that kill. Portal Demon sure to fall now to give him a chance to backspend a little bit more gold. Then they can come back and start making their final push. Phoenix, again, on the left-hand side is exposed. Tier 2 tower on the right-hand side is exposed. EANIX do have a path in here, and Mr. Turtle has 50 seconds. He's got to wait, but Malloy's and Alexum are just about to respawn.
And Osric and 50-meter fly taking away that T1 tower already. Just 2 T2s remain for CAZ in the mid and solo lane side. And it won't take too long with a full Fire Giant team this late in the make here. We're approaching the 40-minute mark pretty soon here. Actually, Predators have caught up in the mix of everything, going in straight away onto Switch.
The damage does come out from Alexa, though. He throws his ultimate back in. That forces Predators to back Malloy's, though, taking way too much damage from Vaporous Coast. He gets deleted. Now it's Osric who jumps in, able to get the ultimate on top of Switch and pull him back into the damage from the rest of EANIX. The 4 members turning back towards that Tier 2 tower. They know they got to clean this one up before they can go for the Phoenix. But wow, Vaporous Coast coming up big.
I'm not saying that it would have killed him. Speaking of which, Osric still looking to kill Switch, who really doesn't have too many places to go. I mean, you want to talk about a rock in a hard place. It doesn't get much worse than this, of getting run down by a Circuit. There's no way he escapes. Osric overshooting that one, giving the kill to his mid laner because he's a team-playing kind of guy. But going back to what I was saying, that bloody block by Dinosaur of Atonement's ultimate onto Predators, I don't think it would have killed him. Still a sick play.
Still just an excellent play from Dinosaur, who's been playing exceptionally well this entire set, setting up 50-meter fly and the rest of his damage. But Vaporous Coast up against Malloy, just an individual play. Mid lane Phoenix falls and 50-meter fly deletes Alexum, pulling him back into those Tycho drums. Atonement taking all 3 shots from Vaporous Coast up in the air, setting up Predators for the Tiger stun. Now Atonement is the one who's low and has to back off. 2-man stun does come out from Mr. Turtle, but it feels like a little bit too little too late, as now the Phoenix on the left-hand side falls as well. Minions ready to start pouring in as EANIX look ready to try and take game 2 as well. Taco, what happened?
Terra's thick, but not thick enough to not squeeze through that mirror wall in between the Phoenix walls. And I think that was a great escape by Dinosaur. You could see that look of regret in his eyes as he tried to escape from the Nemesis ultimate. But those hips don't lie, but they managed to get him through.
And now EANIX coming over to clean up the Gold Fury, just adding more gold on to their 6,000 gold lead. Just about everyone getting close to 6 slotted at this point in the game, though, so the gold lead not going to be too tremendously impactful. Experience all but evened out. Only Switch at this point, who's not level 20, so really all it's going to come down to are pots and wards as EANIX look to regroup in, take down that last right side lane where the only structures are remaining on the map for CAZ, and try and clean up the full set.
This game has been significantly way more back and forth, though.
Yeah.
Beautiful attempts by both sides to really just try and come out on top, and gotta give commends where they're due. CAZ has played an excellent job this game. As far as Mr. Turtle, he's just been all over the place. Same for Malloy's. Unfortunately, it just seems as though EANIX is finding the better ends of these trades.
If CAZ don't come out of this set with any points, then that does not do justice to how well they've been playing this set, especially here in Game 2, where they've been hanging with EANIX all game. Taco, I feel like in Game 1, we can point to that one play over in that dual lane where EANIX sort of took control and CAZ lost their grip on the game. But in this one, it's been back and forth. I mean, it just sort of came down to a late-game team fight and who won it.
CAZ really are looking like a team that certainly knows how to adapt and learn from their mistakes very quickly. Just immediately reformatting everything, going back through the draft, and trying out a completely different style of play, I would say, as opposed to what they were running in game number 1.
I agree. It feels like they've almost entirely switched up their style coming into this game from what they had in Game 1, and it's worked for them a lot better. Just EANIX, once they got this ride into late game form, once they were able to get Vaporous Coast into late game form, it just was a little bit too strong for CAZ to deal with, but it felt like almost a coin flip. Either one of them could win that team fight, and EANIX just came out better in that last engagement. And the game is not over yet. CAZ can certainly still defend.
I kind of want to see Atonement sell either the Magi's or the Urchin and build a crit item. Like, I want him to go for more of a crit-based build, similar to what Vaporish is running, because I understand that it might be difficult for him since he has had Predators in his face the entire game, but that would just be the burst damage that they might need, or that they seem to have been missing to try and lock down 50-meter fly. 50-meter fly has been such an issue, and I think it's just been so difficult for Atonement to really... He's been doing really solid damage. He just hasn't been able to find that all-in burst damage.
And that is what they're missing from CAZ Esports. The only one that's kind of instant is the ultimate coming out from Alexum. Even her 2, when she places it down, does have that sort of longer channel time before you get that burst. So the instant damage that you get out from Vaporish and Raijin sort of right away kind of does have them a little bit outclassed there. But now with that Fire Giant getting taken down incredibly quickly, EANIX are ready to regroup, and the right side lane does look to be the call. They want to take down that last remaining Phoenix, push up these minion waves, and try and break the base of CAZ.
I like what CAZ is trying to do, though, pushing up the left and mid-hand waves just a little bit, making sure that EANIX are aware they're going to have to force out those Phoenixes as well again, because I do believe they'll be able to respawn here. And sure enough, there's already the mid Phoenix coming back up. Malois, the one trying to defend from the fire waves in mid, but without Malois being available for the team fight, CAZ, they're looking in a pretty tough spot right now.
Once again, Predators is being that front line. He went straight back to try and find Alexim and cause problems for him. That's freeing up Vapor's Coast to put damage in on the Phoenix. The wall does come out, though, from Mr. Turtle to cut down some of the damage. Has to use a point-blank ultimate, does Alexim, and not getting too much out of it. Predators up in the air in that somersault cloud, but that Phoenix just can no longer stand. It falls down, maybe even to a smack there from Dinosaur. Mid lane Phoenix ends up falling as well, as is the left side Phoenix. Minions now pouring in from all three lanes, and CAZ have their work cut out for them as the Titan's already down to 77% health.
I think even if CAZ wanted to try and defend this one, they just might not be able to. There is so much damage spread across EANIX that if they chose to just aggress purely onto the Titan, I think they could just drop it. Titan is so vulnerable with no objectives left remaining on the map to help boost the health of it.
And we do see Predators and Ozra going to those side lanes, trying to help free up those minions, to hold up a little bit of aggro, to bring in a little bit more damage, to try and close out this set. EANIX looking very strong. They cleaned up in their first week with a full 3 points. They're looking to get 3 more points here in response to Rival's strong play in the set we just saw earlier. Vapor's Coast emoting just a little bit to get ready to end the game.
The pressure is on already for Rival, kind of just hoping that somehow CAZ managed to pull it through, but the full aggression is coming out from EANIX. They're not taking any chances, going straight onto that Titan. Ultimate has already been expended from all members.
Atonement, though, is able to get an important kill on the Vapor's Coast. That's some damage they won't have. Actually getting a double kill, taking down Aldrich. Malois, though, cleans up 50-meter fly. Taco, could this be the defense coming out from CAZ Esports? Predator is up onto the somersault cloud, and Dinosaur is getting locked up. Predators goes right for the Titan in the back, but there goes CAZ Esports. They recognize that it's happening. They clean him up as well. Predators has killed Titan down to 21%, and CAZ are still standing. Wow.
They held it off the first time. I can't see how they're going to hold it off the second time. CAZ barely coming up with the Titan defense, but with that Titan sitting so low, when all the members respawn from EANIX, they should be able to finish the game, unfortunately. That was a great counter engagement, though, by CAZ, capitalizing on all the members that needed to be taken out and in the order they needed to be taken out in.
And that was the fight that Atonement has been looking for the whole game. There's a point that you gotta come fight me. I got my hives down. I've got the Titan helping me swing, and Atonement cleaned up 2 huge kills for him in that fight. Now CAZ Esports are looking to push down this middle lane. Not too long, though, before Vapor's Coast and Osric are back up, so they likely won't be able to get any Phoenixes out of this. They're gonna have to back and try and prepare for one more last siege from EANIX, who are looking to take out that last bit of HP sitting on the Titan.
The problem for CAZ, though, is that with their Titan sitting so low, they've got to take the fight outside of their base this time around, so they won't have that Titan swinging down on the members of EANIX to assist them. And with that in mind, it will make the defense a little bit more difficult, and actually Alexim in a whole lot of trouble here. Seems as though the chase is on from EANIX with that Terra's Blessing being popped. Mr. Turtle trying to do his best to get away. Dinosaur chasing everybody down. The root is already in play. Dharmic Pillars tossed out for the slow. Alexim, though, caught up by that Cobra's Kiss, and he'll be falling.
This is exactly what CAZ Esports didn't want, to have to take this fight way this far away from their Titan. The blink from Osric is enough. They clean up Mr. Turtle. Alexim already back to the base. Atonement is the only one on the left here side, as Malloy is just trying to rotate in on the backside of the team fight. But without Mr. Turtle and Alexim, this defense is going to look real difficult for CAZ Esports with that Titan already exposed.
I just don't see how the 3v5 is going to be able to pull it off. Alexim was such a huge asset in that last defense because of the silences from the Nox. And again, the full commit by EANIX. Immediate shutout and immediate closing.
So EANIX do eventually end up